Testing. Okay, good. Mic's on. The mic's even facing the right direction now. Now we're good to go. Awesome. Okay. So here's my plan: is for chapters three and four, I have a slide, a PowerPoint slide, like a PowerPoint. I have a slide deck I could go through, but what I did instead is I just have a bunch of PowerShell commands that relate to the stuff that are in chapters 3 and 4. So if I walk through those commands and talk about them with you guys, we'll cover most of the stuff from chapters 3 and 4. And my thought is then you can just on your own read, kind of read the book and get the other stuff out of there. If you want to on your own, like look at the scripts that I'm using, I put them all in Blackboard. So if we go back to Blackboard. Good. And if you just look under PS scripts, PowerShell scripts, I pretty much have them for all the chapter. I have a lot of the chapters in the book done already. Okay, so I'm walking through chapters 3 and 4. So basically, what I did was I just downloaded this, and then because I have VMware Tools installed on my virtual machines, I can just drag and drop stuff then from my desktop. I can just kind of drag stuff in and drop them on my desktop. Good? So I opened up the ISE. I have chapters 3 and 4 open, and let's just start talking about it. Good? Stop me along the way. Any questions, thoughts, whatever, just stop me. But basically, PowerShell has a built-in help, which you should get used to using. Contrary to what the book says, I typically like going online and Googling the commands as opposed to using, it's the same information, but it's just formatted nicer. So when I was looking at something today, and here, yeah, I was looking at one commandlet called get event log. This is the PowerShell help. This is like the web-based version of the help. We can get all the same information in PowerShell as well. Well, this will be the first item out of chapter 3. Get event log. When I first try and run it, I get, well, here, I can't really show these side by side. I want to have you guys at the end of class today understand what the help means when you look at it. All right? But I'm not getting a full help yet because you need to update the help one time on a virtual machine or on a physical machine just to download the Microsoft help files. All right? And they created a commandlet for that. It's like update-help. All right? If I try to run update help on this machine right now, update help. If I run it, I just get something saying you don't have an internet connection. Good. If I do, and if you do want to give your VM internet, we've talked about this before, you can always just add a second network card to your virtual machine, and then your VM will have the network connection. So maybe I'll just do that, and we'll come back to this. So let me just add a network adapter here. All right, my second network adapter is configured as NAT, which is what I want. Give it a second. I really feel my students that have done the best in the class are the students that have spent time along the way just keeping up with it and playing with it. Yeah, this is like one of those classes if you put off and you wait till chapter 8 to try to read chapters 1 through 8 on your own because you're like, well, heck, these chapters are only like 10 pages a piece or whatever. I can read 80 pages in an afternoon. It doesn't work that way. You kind of have to just keep up with it a little bit every week. So, anyways, I've given my VM connection, my internet connection. Update help. There it goes. So now it's downloading. We'll get some error message or warning message, but we'll have help in here in a second. Help's on the way. I made a note here that on lines like 9 and 10, when you update help, you want to be running it as an administrator. Okay? Because if you try doing update help and you're logged on as a regular user, it's going to say you don't have the permissions or privileges to do that. Kind of like if you try to do something, log in and update device driver, do a Windows update, or whatever it is. There's certain things you'll do that require permission. Good? So how do I launch this PowerShell thing as an administrator? If I'm getting that, if I have a problem with it. Right click, run as admin. Good enough. Good. All right. So now that my help's updated, we can look at, I guess, on both here. If I update the help, if I do a get help right now, on a single command, if I want to learn about a commandlet called get service, and you guys are all seeing how these commandlets work, right? It's like a verb and a noun. That's the commandlet, and then there's different, if you use like the minus sign afterwards, that specifies parameters, that kind of controls how the command works. Okay? So, for example, if I just do get help and type in get service, I'll get one set of information, a little bit. If I do get help and I use that examples parameter, so I've got that minus sign in there, that's basically going to tell the command when it runs, just output, it's going to control how the command works. So now I just get all the examples, which is actually kind of cool. A lot of times this is what it takes, is just getting an example of how to use it. All right. Now this is kind of hard to read down here, right? And then get all that stuff. That's why I just think it's easier to same information, but the web page format to me is a little bit easier. So I want to just talk about this real quick. So I'm looking at this commandlet called get event log. All right, and what I want to figure out with you guys is what those little square brackets mean around some of those parameters. I can zoom this up a little bit, and I also want to talk about why get event log is listed twice. Right? They're kind of showing how to use the command get event log, but they've got it twice here. So the takeaway is this: when you run get event log, it can do two different things. Right? When you want to, and if you read the description, it'll kind of describe what those two things are. But basically, if you just want to see the event logs that exist on the computer, like the system log, the application log, whatever, the security event log, this bottom set of parameters apply. If you're more interested in getting the stuff that's out of the event logs, like I want to know what's in my application or what's in my security event log, well then the top set of parameters apply. So basically, same commandlet, but it does two different things. That's just the way kind of PowerShell works. All right. So, so let me just, for kicks, let's run get event log. Actually, I'll do this. Someone tell me, give me one parameter on the bottom that doesn't exist on the one on the top, right? There's some of those parameters that are only used in one spot. Give me one that's only used in one spot on from the bottom one. What's that? Oh, list? Okay, good. So I'm going to try using get event log with the list thing then. So we'll just jump to my VM. Get event log, and I'm just going to use the list parameter. Okay, oops, not log name, list. So I run this, and what's it do? What's it giving me?
A list
of the what? All the logs, all the log files on there, right? Do you guys know what like an event log is on a computer? Yeah, what is it? Someone just tell me what the heck an event log is.
It catalogs all the events that in that criteria of the event log
Yeah, so it catalogs all the events that happen on your system, right? And
for debugging purposes.
for debugging purposes, right? You know, you wonder what the heck, why is my computer not working right? Why something's kind of weird? You might want to check the system event log to see if you're getting some whatever. You look for you typically troubleshoot, right? When you go to the event log, if you're managing a large environment, I'm sure you're going to check the security log and stuff once in a while on your servers to make sure everything's looking A-okay. Good? All right, so anyways, if I use the get event log with that list parameter, I get just a list of the event logs. Good. If I use, let's try this once. I'm going to go back to that web page. All right, so basically, I picked the parameter off here, the bottom one. So it's forcing us to use just, I only have like 4 possible choices. I can use list, as string, and computer name. I guess it's 3 possible things I can use. What the square brackets mean here is this: they're optional. If something's in square brackets, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. All right? If you do use it, well, then it's going to kind of control more how that commandlet works. So we tried list, and that made that just had us output a list of all the event logs. If I would have ran it without that, I would have gotten a different output. So same thing again without list. Oh, then it's asking me, I typed in get event log with nothing, and then it's saying, hey Fader, I need a log name. What log should I use? Because you can kind of see them on the screen what our previous log, what my choices are. What should I go for? Security. All right. All right. So there's a dump of all the contents of our security event log. Good? All right. So let's go back and look at that web page again. So basically, when I typed in just to get event log, here's what happened. If you look up here, is the parameter log name optional, based on what I told you so far? Yeah, yes, it is, because it's got the brackets around it. But is that thing after it called string optional? No, it was a string. All that a string is just a string of like numbers and letters. Your name's a string. My driver's license number is a string. My social security, a string. It's just names and letters. Or words and letters. Not words. Stop, Pat. Letters and numbers. Okay. All right. So anyways, I ran get event log. I didn't put the log name in because it was optional. But then the commandlet asked me, what event log do you want to show the output to? So what I could do instead, I could use log name. I could put it in there. And then I'll just specify the log that I want to access. So, and again, the plan is I'm just kind of playing around with the stuff right now. When you guys go through and read it, that'll kind of fill in a lot of the holes, right? So get event log. I can put the log name in, and then security. Good. Same thing. Good? All right, so far the takeaway is PowerShell has commandlets. Commandlets use parameters. Some parameters are optional, and some parameters would be required. Good? If I go back and let's take a look some more at that one help here. All right. Well, here's one. All right. So I'm going to keep going with this. So I've already got a command part. I've already got the commandlet get event log, and I'm specifying the log name of security. If I work my way down those parameters, the next one is this instance ID, right? It says instance ID. And again, if I read further in the description or the help file, it'll describe what the instance ID is. But basically, in your event logs, different types of events are assigned different types or different IDs. If someone's trying to keep getting wrong passwords in, that's one ID. If running out of disk space, another ID. You get the idea here. So if I want to, I can search an event log for a specific instance ID. Okay? So this one column here, there's so many here, but whatever. Anyways, I see a bunch of instance IDs. 4616, the system time was changed. There we go. I want to look at just those for no particular reason. Get event log, log name, 4616. Let's go back and look at the help and see if let's see if this will work or not. All right, so get event log. I specified the log name, and then I put a number in there. And a lot of this you're learning. If this was a programming class, we'd spend a lot more time talking about what a string is, what an integer is. So I'm just kind of summarizing it. But basically, when you see long there, I think it stands for long integer. It's a whole number that's, you know, from who knows how many negative billion to how many positive billion. I don't know. It's a big number. Okay. So what it's saying is, what it's telling me is this. I can put the instance ID in. And I have the option. I don't have to put in instance ID if I don't want to. So basically, if the next thing after the log name is a number, it's just going to assume it's an instance ID. It's called a positional parameter. I think it makes it more usable if you actually would put in instance ID, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Like if you're so used to using the same command over and over again, I could put this in here. Instance ID 4616, and that just tells me the time that the system time was changed on my computer. Or if I want to, I can leave that off because I just know how I'm so used to using the command I don't have to put instance ID in. So positional parameters, sometimes you can leave them off if you want to. So how can I tell what a positional parameter is? Well, if I go back, if I take a look at that, anytime that you see like the parameter in brackets by itself, it's optional. So it must be a positional parameter. Is log name a positional parameter? It is. Log name is in brackets, so I don't need it if I want to. If I wanted to, I could just type in get event log security 4616 or whatever it is. It would work just fine. Because the stuff in square brackets is optional. All right. I'll show you what a non-positional parameter is. I'm going kind of slow, but I just want to make sure you guys get this because this is like you're going to be using the command that's all semester long. Yeah, Justin.
Why is instance IDs in brackets again?
Okay, so why is instance ID in brackets again? That's because, let me go. I think it's easier if I just go to that web page so we're all looking at it. So when I look at this, I see two things. First of all, this first string here is non-negotiable. You have to give it. All right, that's your log name, security, application, or whatever, event, or application, security, whatever. It's up to you if you want to put the log name parameter in front of it or not. If you don't put it in there, if you say just get event log security or get event log dash log name security, it's the exact same thing. Okay? Then you're saying why is this in double brackets here? So then what I learned from this is specifying the log name is good enough. I don't have to do anything else. But if I want to further control how this commandlet works, because it's in brackets, it's optional, but I can still do it. If I want to, I can specify an instance ID. So the outside brackets means if you want to use it, go for it. If you don't, you don't have to. If you decide to use it, like you want to specify the instance ID, you have the option of putting in the parameter instance ID or not. That's optional. But if you decide, so you don't have to put the word instance ID in if you don't want to. If you just stick a number in there, it'll assume you're talking about instance ID. So I want to show you how people screw up with it. It might make sense in a second, Justin. If you give me as an example. So you know what if I just I can put this up on top here so you guys, and I can change the font a little bit. All right. Get event log security 4616. Right? And that works. It dumps out our thing. It also, if I want to, I could put in the word instance ID in front of it if I want to. Still does the exact same thing. So so instance ID is almost there for you just to kind of straighten you out. It's a positional parameter. But here's the deal. Here's how it won't work. If you don't use the command a lot, and you're like, okay, I want to look at the security log instance ID 4616. I flip them around. Well, now it's going to break. It's not going to work. Lots of red. Why? Because when I look at the help on that command, if you're not specifying the actual parameter, like log name or instance ID, it assumes the order is going to be log name first, instance ID second. So that's why like this thing instance ID is in brackets. It's like Justin, if you can remember the order it goes in, don't put it in there. But if you're not positive, if you put these parameters in any order, as long as you specify log name or instance ID, it'll work just fine. So if you use a command a ton, you can kind of rely on positional parameters and just put the values in. But if you're not really sure how to use it, just stick the parameter in there. So for example, I can fix that broken command from a second ago by just doing this. I'm first going to spell correctly. There we go. All right, there we go. So now the only thing I changed was I just put the name of the parameters in front of it, right? Now it works. When I run it, it does everything A-OK. I think I just illustrated kind of what a positional parameter is. So if you know the order, you don't have to put them in there. If you want to make it easier for you to read a year from now and stuff, leave the parameter names in there. But I think it's important to recognize that there are some commands that have positional parameters, so you don't have to put that parameter name in if you don't want to. Is that good? Are we okay? All right. Okay. I'm going slow, but this is okay. We're not in a rush, right? There's no like polar vortex looming overhead, and so we're good to go. All right. If I go back and take a look at that help some more. So far we've established that log name is a positional parameter. I know that because that string is not in square brackets. It's sitting by itself. So that means I can put a string in there. The word log name is optional. I look at instance ID. It's a positional, well, first of all, it's still a positional parameter because if I just put a number in, PowerShell assumes that I'm talking about the instance ID. If I'm not sure, I put this in front of it just to be perfect, get it right. And then there are some parameters that aren't positional. You just have to use it. For example, if I want to display the newest items out of my event log, I put the word newest in there, and I have to have followed by an integer, but the whole thing's in brackets, not part of it. So I mean, I need the whole thing. If I want to get the last 5 items out of the event log, I have to have the word newest in there, and I have to have a number after that. All right, so let me just try that real quick, and we'll let it sit. All right, so. Okay, get event log. I'll just put the log name security, and then I'm put the word newest in there. All right, I got to throw a number in there. 5. All right, it gives me the 5 newest entries out of my event log. Done. If I don't have the word newest in there, it's going to assume that I'm talking about that instance ID. There's no instance IDs with number 5. Good? Does that make sense? So going back to the whole help thing, and then we can move on. There's plenty of parameters that you need to specify the name followed by a value. Good? All right. I'm moving on. That's a lot of chapter 3, believe it or not. So we've already talked about updating the help. We've talked about how to look at these help files. We've also, the thing that helps me the most is when I look at the examples, because typically they'll say, okay, if I just told you, okay, Clay, go read all the, go read what all the parameters do. So just look at the command and look at the parameters. And if I said, show me the last 5 things on a security log, you'd be like, I can't figure this out, Pat. There's like 30 parameters, and I got, it's not making sense. But I mean, if you look at the examples, they give you this. In this one, they give me 10 examples. I'm pretty sure. Display the property values of an event. Get all of the events that include a specific word in the message. I mean, there's pretty cool stuff in here. So Normally what I do is I just look at the examples, and from that I can kind of pretty much copy and paste and make it work in my thing. Let's see if I can find one that's, yeah. Find all the sources for a specific number of entries in an event log, whatever. I'll let you guys kind of muck around with it, but we're good so far? All right. Maybe one thing more I'll just throw on this. You'll see a lot of commandlets, we know what that word is now, that have this computer name parameter with it. I'll just scroll down to computer name here. Computer name. Specifies a remote computer. All right, fair enough. So here's the deal, is what you can kind of gather from this is that if you want to, you can use computer name, and if you want to, you can start plucking event logs and stuff off other machines. All right, so that's the event log off server 2 that I have running here. That's kind of cool. Let's see. Maybe I should have put the word newest on the end of that one, but let's see here. All right. Newest 3. And if you want to, you can even like start throwing some commas in there. Server 2016-1. I think if I put in the word localhost, that goes back to myself again. But the point is, if you want to, I can dump event logs from a bunch of machines if I want to as well. Good. This is kind of the old way of remoting in computers. And when we get towards the middle of the book, chapter 13, there's a whole chapter or two on just doing remoting. But what I'll say for now is this is the old way of doing things. It uses like this remote procedure call protocol, and it doesn't work well with firewalls. It uses multiple ports. There's better ways of doing remoting in PowerShell, but what we do know is that you can use PowerShell to gather and control other machines. Good? Cool. All right. So now let me look at what I want to talk about here. So I've talked about this. There's all kinds. You know, this get disk is kind of a cool one. I'll let you guys look at it on your own, just to kind of play around to see what other commandlets are available to you. When it comes to using help, you can use help or get help. It does the same thing. All right? So you're going to see it a lot, actually, in PowerShell. Like, I think I said in the first week, I'm like, you know, a lot of you guys, some of you have Linux experience and you know what the word ls is. Some of you are learned on DOS-based machines and you know what the word dir does, right? It does the same thing as ls, it looks like in PowerShell to me. So those are all called aliases. Microsoft has all these aliases set up so that get command. I'm using a new commandlet. I'm specifying the command, the parameter called command type, and I'm saying the word alias here. So get me all the commands and show me the ones that are just aliases. I'm just kind of curious what PowerShell thinks. All right. So here's a whole bunch of aliases that PowerShell has made for us. What I gather from this is like ls. I just looked at. Let's see. HIJK ls. Oh, well, it was there. ls actually is the same as typing in get child item. I don't know if you saw that or not. Right here, ls get child item, right? When I typed in dir, dir get child item. It's an alias. So you type in either one, it's the same thing as doing that. It's the same thing as typing in this. Just get child item. All right. Same thing. Good. That's even kind of crazy. And then even there's a PowerShell that Microsoft went up to just GCI get child item. That's the same thing. Good enough. So far we have commandlets. We know that just are basically commands that are built into PowerShell. We have these things called aliases, which are just shortcuts because you're sick of typing in get service to get service. You learn after a while that GSV stands for get service. Good. That kind of stuff. Also PowerShell. So a shell, again, PowerShell, the word shell, is just essentially it's a way of interacting with the operating system. So with PowerShell, we got this environment, and it's our way of accessing resources and services offered by the operating system. But I can use commandlets, which are specific to PowerShell. I can use aliases, and I can use external commands too. You're like, Pat, I'm really good at using ping. Man, I'm the best. That works too. So you don't have to use a PowerShell equivalent of ping if you don't want to. So external commands work as well as commandlets and aliases. And there's more too. And you can actually write your own functions, they're called, if you want. So if you always do the same 20 things in a row at work, you can write a function. So when you type in the name of that function, it executes those 20 commands. Function. Good enough. Let's keep scrolling down. Let's see where I'm at on this here. So help and get help. Basically, help is it's the same underlying PowerShell code. All right, kind of like an alias is. We've talked about get event log already. Kind of beat that to death, I feel like, but I think I did a good job. Hopefully, you understand it. So here, I was going to have someone just do it. You guys all have your machines up and running. You can all launch, if you want, you can all launch PowerShell just on the host computer. So just someone, what command do I type in for outputting the 5 newest entries from the system event log on your computer? What I type in, like if you're there, and I said 2, tell me the last 5 entries in your system log. What would you type it in? What would you type in? I'll wait for the answer. I was going to look at some other stuff while you guys are working. Okay. We're getting to the end of chapters 3 and 4 already, actually. Security or system, I don't care which one. System log, event log. Who's got it? Who's got a thought? Yeah, what do you got for me?
Would it be the get event log and then it'll be system newest and then 5?
Yeah, so get event log, system, newest, and then 5, right? Yeah, there you go. So good enough. Nothing else to say on that one. Good. I'm gonna have you do a help on one. So I'll start you off on one. So we already talked about dir and ls. So if I type in dir c colon like this, what's going to come out? What's PowerShell going to tell me? If you don't know, don't worry. This is my starting point. We'll say it one more time.
The root directory of the C drive?
Yeah, so this is the root directory of the C drive, and it should show me all the files and folders that are in there. Good? What if I want to use, and okay, you don't know, I'm just kind of building up to something. So, and I said that dir was an alias for, what's the command that dir was an alias for? Does anybody remember? I'll start here, I'll make it easy. It's get. What? Child. Item. All right. Okay. All right, good. All right. So good enough. So if I run this, there it is. Get child item. So now, you guys can Google this. Well, here. I'll do one more. What if I only want to look at if all I want to look at are the text files on the C drive? So I don't want to look at, I don't want the output to have like the pat folder. All I care about is the text files, the files that end with a .txt. What do I put in here? And this is something I haven't talked about. I'm just curious if you know it or not. No, good guess though.
Is it like an asterisk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Asterisk. You got it. So yeah, the asterisk is just like a wild card. That basically means anything. Like, I don't care how it starts. But it has to end in the .txt. All right. So okay. So here's the thing. So far I've learned that now when I run it, I only get one file back. Servers.txt. You guys can tell me. You can Google it. I want to know. I want to look at not only the text files that are at the root of the C drive, but I want to know all the ones that exist. And maybe you can figure it out by just typing it in, putting a minus on there. But I want to know all the ones on the subfolders as well. So I want to, not just the root of the C drive, but I want to, like Nathan said, but I want to know if any text files exist in all the ones below it as well. Does that make sense? So I want to know what parameter I have to put in there. Any guesses? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, man, if you could have just done like, if you just would have Googled like, PowerShell. A lot of times I'll just Google like get child item PowerShell. Then the top hits Microsoft's online help. But we can look at it a little bit. But basically, if I look at the examples here, get all files with a specified extension to current directory and subdirectories. Get. Now they have the word path in there, so that must be one of those positional parameters. I just put in c:/star.txt. I didn't put the parameter path in there. They do it, and then they put recurse. All right, so let's just try it. Recurse. All right. So I got a bunch more text files that are sitting out on my computer. Still going. Good enough.
Oh, so you just type the word recursion.
Yep.
I didn't know what recursion.
Yep, and I just
I thought it was the simplest.
no, it's just and again, this goes back to like if I look at just the help here, the example. I mean that's why I like having the examples there. Get child item path, and right there, recurse. All right, I'd have to read what the force thing does. I don't know what force does, but I do know what recurse does.
I know that force it just pretty much says no matter what, format it by default.
Oh, here. In this case, though, so force normally does, like a lot of times, like if I'm like deleting something or if I'm trying to restart a computer remotely, I have to put the word force in there to make it happen, even though Windows is saying, are you sure? A lot of times Windows is like, are you sure you want to do this? That you put that force in there, it means, yeah, I know what I'm doing, just do it. So in this case, force also displays hidden files too. All right? Big deal. But the point, I'm just learning how to read the help, and I'm getting exposed to different commandlets. That's kind of what my goal is right now. I'm talking about chapters 3 and 4. Let me go back and look at the script here, see if there's anything else I want to show you. Then we'll take a break, and I have more interesting things. So I probably have too many in here. too much. I might just jump out of this pretty quickly and go to my second script that I want to talk about. I was starting to play around a little bit about having PowerShell do more stuff for me. All right. So if I want to make a text file, there's this PowerShell commandlet called new item, and I can tell it the name of the file, and I can say make a file. All right. I threw the word force on there because if the file already exists, PowerShell doesn't want to overwrite it. But if I put force on the end, it means yes, I know what I'm doing. Overwrite the stupid thing. So, so I was mucking around earlier. I'm like, okay, I could have PowerShell make a blank file. I could have PowerShell then put some stuff in the file. Oh, I have to go all the way to the end here. There we go. Put some content in the file. I could show the students what get content does, which basically dumps the output of a file to the screen. I could show them that, yes, the file existed by opening it in Notepad. Nothing too exciting here. But then I was going to show you that if you want to, some of the things that people do is they'll well, like what I've seen done, like this just actually happened, is someone put the name of all their servers in a text file, and they combined some PowerShell commandlets together. They said, you know what, I know that get content outputs a bunch of all the stuff that's in a file, so 3 server names. So I could kind of use the parentheses that Maurice mentioned earlier, and I could kind of put that together with the get event log, and I could say, hey, get me the event logs, and I'm going to specify the computer name property, but instead of typing them in, server 1, server 2, server 3, I'm just putting in parentheses, get content, servers.txt. So basically, PowerShell kind of works like math does. Math, when you're doing an equation, when you see parentheses, you always do that stuff first, right? So the way PowerShell would work with this, it would say, okay, let me do this first. And this creates 3 files. And so basically, when I call this command here, it's going to kind of put those 3 file names in it. All right, I'm just stringing together different things that I can do with PowerShell. And I think I'll let you guys read about this on your own. I could go, we're going to learn more about combining, or it's actually called piping, taking the output of one command and piping it to another. So I'm going to save, I'll talk about 89, 90, I'll talk about that some other time. At this point, I'm just going to take a break. You guys we'll take 10 minutes off. And when you get back, I want to start walking through the script that I'm using for your final exam. And my goal is every time that we talk, if I can spend 20 minutes or so talking about that script, then by the end of the semester, I'll talk about the entire final exam, and all that you have to do is just make it work for your scenario. Good? So let's take a break. Let's come back at 2 o'clock. I kind of want some tea. I thought it felt kind of cold in here.
Yeah, it is. Gee.
But when I got in, I turned it up to 71 or something like that. I'm surprised. Isn't it 71 or 72 right now? It's just coming. It was 67 when I came in. I think it's just slowly. It's just taking a long time for it to creep up.
71 would be good if you use 72.
Put it up as high as you want. I mean,
It's kind of weird how